And after she had, I can remember what she had on and everything. She was Caucasian. She had on a white dress with polka dots. She was light-skinned, dark hair. She had black shoes on, and she has a funny nose. And after that, a boy came down with her. He was about 23 years old, and he was Mexican-American, because I can remember that because I'm Mexican-American.
Sandy Serrano wasn't the only witness to the escape of the polka dot dress girl and her companion. LAPD Patrol Sergeant Paul Churaga was the first police officer on the scene. He arrived within minutes of the shooting. Immediately, he was met by an older couple in a state of near shock.
They were quite hysterical, very hysterical, and were spontaneous. The woman stated that she and her husband were just outside the embassy room when a young couple in their late teens or early 20s came running by in a state of glee, very excited, very happy, shouting, we shot him, we killed him. And the woman says, who did you kill? And the young lady said, Kennedy, we shot him, we killed him. I immediately put out a broadcast with the description of the suspects, male and a female Caucasian, the female Caucasian wearing a polka dot dress. The source of it.
But within minutes, Paul Churaga's urgent APB was abruptly cancelled by a senior officer.
He said, well, I want you to stop putting out that broadcast. The suspects, words of effect, the suspect's in custody. He didn't want to make a conspiracy out of it, or didn't want anyone to make a conspiracy out of it.
The official police notebook entry Paul Churaga made of the old couple's name, address and phone number mysteriously disappeared. It was followed by all 3 official copies of his meticulous duty report detailing their testimony. But LAPD didn't know that Churaga had kept a copy at home for safekeeping. 2 senior officers secretly created an entirely bogus interview with Churaga, completely changing his evidence about what the Bernsteins had told him.
Here is they took an earlier report of mine, had changed the wording in it to reflect that I had retracted my initial statement.
The bogus document suggests that the polka dot dress girl said they shot him, not the more incriminating, we shot him.
This in itself was wrong. It's a criminal act to modify an official report, but it hit me the moment I looked at it. I never gave this report. I was never interviewed, and this is false.
The detectives forced witnesses to undergo a polygraph test and claimed the results proved that the witnesses were lying. No reliable record of those results were ever made public, but audio tapes proved the police broke every rule covering the conduct of such tests.
Well, I think the best example of the coercion of witnesses is the polygraph interview that Sergeant Hank Hernandez took of Sandy Serrano. Sandy was a young woman, she was about 18 years at the time, who stated that she saw a young woman in a polka dot dress and a male come out of the ambassador yelling, we shot him, we shot him. That, of course, would have been indicated an accomplice to Serrano, was inconsistent with the one-gunman theory, so the LAPD wanted to get her to retract that. Sergeant Hernandez called her in for a polygraph interview and spent 40 to 50 minutes just haranguing her and trying to get her to retract that statement.
I think you owe it to Senator Kennedy, the late Senator Kennedy, to come forth, be a woman about this. If he, and you don't know, and I don't know whether he's a witness right now in this room watching what we're doing in here, don't shame his death by keeping this thing up. I have compassion for you. I want to know why. I want to know why you did what you did. This is a very serious thing.
I've seen those people.
No, Sandy. Remember what I told you about that? You can't say you saw something when you didn't see it. Sandy, look, I can explain this to the investigators where you don't even have to talk to them, and they won't talk to you. I can do this. But please, in the name of Kennedy.
I don't want to know the name of Kennedy, but
you know that this is wrong. You might want to be pushing it out with a smirk on your face, with a smile, but you know that deep inside what I'm telling you.
I remember seeing a girl.
No, I'm talking about what you have told here about saying a person tells you we have shot Kennedy, and that's wrong. No, it isn't, Sandy. Please, don't laugh it off. Look, I love this man. And you're saying if right now, if he can't even... Well, I'm trying not to shout, but this is a very emotional thing with me, too, you see. If you love the man, the least you owe him is the courtesy of letting him rest in peace.
Today, Sandy Serrano insists that she never recanted and that her evidence was true, but she is now too scared to speak out publicly.
Well, certainly she's in fear of her life. Probably if I had good sense, I'd be in fear of my life.
But why should the Los Angeles police devote so much time and effort to conceal the truth? And who would benefit from the assassination of Bobby Kennedy? There are those like Paul Schrager who believe the CIA was deeply implicated.
There were incidents that I found out since that indicate that CIA men were actually running the downtown headquarters, namely the Hernandez and Pena, who had retired some years before and went to work for government agencies that were no more than front agencies for the CIA. And lo and behold, on the night of the assassination, within minutes, they were present and managing this command control center.
Sergeant Hank Hernandez and Lieutenant Manny Pena were the two key officers in the polka dot dress inquiry. Hernandez boasted to Sandy Serrano about his polygraph work for government agencies.
I had been called to South America, to Vietnam, Europe, and I had administered tests. The last test that I administered was to the dictator in Caracas, Venezuela. He was a big man, a dictator. Perez Jimenez was the last name. And this is when there was a transition in the government of Venezuela. That's when President Betancourt came in, but this is all behind. But there was a great thing involved over there, and I tested this gentleman.
Hernandez denies ever having worked for the CIA. Paul Schrager and other critics believe only federal security agencies carried out polygraph tests in such diverse and high-powered circles. Manny Pena was brought in to run the Robert Kennedy investigation from a Washington, D.C. organization, the Agency for International Development. 4 years later, a congressional committee would reveal that AID functioned as a front for the CIA. But why should anyone, let alone the anonymous CIA hierarchy, want Bobby Kennedy dead? What motive could it have had? From his days as Attorney General in the John Kennedy administration, Bobby had pursued policies and targeted opponents which directly threatened the CIA. His self-proclaimed crusade against organized crime had begun to highlight the long-standing links between organized crime bosses and CIA chiefs, a link exemplified by the joint Mafia-CIA assassination attempts on Fidel Castro. After the fiasco of the Bay of Pigs, he and John had publicly sworn to smash the CIA into 1,000 pieces and cast it to the wind. After his brother's assassination, Bobby's support for the student-based anti-Vietnam War movement categorized him in the minds of many Cold War warriors as a threat to national security.
One thing is clear in this year of 1968, and that is that the American people want no more Vietnam.
A lot of the people in the center and to the right in America did not appreciate that because he was raising problems they wanted to ignore.
I think that we have a structure in this country, and I refer to them as a corporate war machine, or you can refer to them as whatever you want. I believe that they did and will do anything that they need to or that they want to preserve their status quo.
That Cold War mentality flourished above all within the CIA and led to seemingly bizarre experimentation.